The 80 vibes are back. Doja Cat, jealous type. Let's talk about it. How y'all doing? Welcome to Let's Talk About It. Music Reviews Season 11. How y'all doing? Welcome to the show. Guys, it's been a while since I've done a music review. It's probably been a minute. But I've been saving. I've been saving my breath. I've been saving my voice for moments like these. For, some actual music to drop. It's been so many weeks, guys, when I used to just review music every single week. The shit that would come out, I just want to put a gun in my head. But thank God we actually got some music today to talk about. We got Doja Cat, Jealous Type. I've been seeing this album. This is supposed to be an 80s inspired album. I've been seeing all the promotion for it. I saw, all the little teasers, etc., for this song. And I'll be real, guys. How do I honestly feel about, the 80s type sound? It can be used for great purposes. Some of my favorite songs have that, type of sound. Even, The Weeknd. The Weeknd didn't entirely, forget about that, synthy kind of 80s type sound. So, there's still artists doing it, etc. But this is kind of, taking it to a full album, full little album thing going on here. Now, will we review this album? Yes, we will review this album when it comes out. I'll check it out, etc. But let's get into Jealous Type, guys. Let's start off talking about the beat. Now, look, I'd say the production's pretty good here. This production's got a lot to it, which I do like. Doja Cat's definitely one for, adding layers to songs. And what do I mean by adding layers to songs? Well, you'll listen to a lot of new songs that come out today, and, they feel very lifeless. They feel very, you don't really want to listen to the song. It feels like I just went on some AI shit, and I, told me to make like a hip-hop beat, and then that's what my beat sounds like for the whole entire song. The same, drum sounds, the same hi-hats, the same 808s, all of these sounds that, you could just take from, a website. It just definitely sounds like that in 2025 music, but this is kind of, taking it to your new way, adding some synths. I like the groove of this beat. I do like that bass. There's some great, kind of 808 slash kind of funky bass in the background. That overall has a pretty good vibe to it. I do like that. There is only one thing that I don't really like about this beat, is that I do wish the drums were a little bit more pronounced. I wish the drums had a little bit more oomph to them. I wish they were a little louder. That's my only thing. These drums, they have that, clapping, feeling song to them. But, when you listen to the song, I want to hear more of the drums, because I think the 80s drums on here were actually really good. Now, I think the synths are really good. Synths sound nice. I like the sounds of them. I like how, it's not just the basic ass synths. It's not the basic synth loop. This synth actually has some personality to it. Actually has a little something to it. I like it has that little switch up on the hook. It just keeps the song sounding really fresh, in my opinion. So I do like that. And also the fact too, guys, I do like that, when the beat drops, there's been a lot of 2025 songs that I've listened to, and a lot of the beat drops, a lot of the build up to these beat drops have been pretty good. And then once we get to the beat drop, I'm just like, well, this shit sounds kind of ass. So I like the fact that, when the beat actually drops, the bass kicks in, those drums kick in, those synths, have some switch ups too, some background vocals start coming in. I like all of those vibes there. It just makes the vibe really go crazy. So I do enjoy that. But let's get into Doja Cat now, because not everything's the beat. And honestly, guys, when artists say they're going to do, an 80s kind of synth sound, I do expect just a tad little more production-wise, but hopefully we get that throughout this whole entire album. So far, what I'm hearing, though, the 80s production just gets the job done. It sounds good, but is anything that I want to listen to on my free time? I'll be real, not really. So let's get into Doja Cat now. Starting off with the first verse. I'd say the first verse was pretty good. I like the vocals. She's kind of doing this, more higher pitched kind of vocal sound. And It works as the song keeps going on, but I will say the beginning threw me a little bit off too, because, you know, the high pitch of vocals and the auto-tune with the background vocals, it's kind of hard to hear those lyrics in the beginning. So that's my only thing. You know, I think the lyrics should be pronounced a little bit better, you know, in the beginning of the song. But as the song keeps going on, the vocals are pretty good. I like the background vocals. Now, here's my thing about the bridge, because there is a bridge before the hook, and hey, I'll give props to that. I mean, to have a fucking bridge in 2025, when we're in the age of, you know, barely even including a second verse into songs these days, having a bridge is pretty good. But I don't think I like this bridge that much, because the bridge sounds too the same as the first verse, so you don't. And the only thing that really switches up is the deeper vocals. You know, Doja Cat does some deeper vocals, but the deeper vocals, I am going to be real, guys, they do not sound good. I'm just going to be real. I don't like how they sound. I really don't like how Doja Cat does this deep singing voice. You know, I thought maybe it could work as I kept listening to the song, but I'll just be real, guys, it just does not sound good. But I do like it, you know, once we get rid of that deep voice and she goes back to the hook, starts singing, I do like that. You know, I like the vocals, I like how they sound, etc. My only thing about this song, it's long, but the first verse and the second verse, they do sound too similar in my opinion. The flows are too similar, the vocal style is too similar. And I know this is an 80s type, you know, sound song, but, you know, take the 80s sound and make something of your own. You know, take these sounds and make your own song out of them. Don't follow into the rules of making an 80s inspired album. You know, come on, guys. You know, fucking make this shit your own song. You know, why is the second verse, like, just sounds the same as the first one? And then also, too, why are the background vocals so, like, why are the background vocals, first of all, turned down so, you know, low? When Doja Cat does this vocal runoff at the final hook, I can barely hear it. I can barely hear it, guys. And that's disappointing, because we know Doja Cat can go crazy on those vocals. This was the opportunity to really show that. And it's kind of, you know, just a little bit in the background, and it kind of just fades away from all these synths. So, that's definitely disappointing, guys. Overall, when we talk about the song Doja Cat Jealous Type, I overall like the sounds. I like the ideas of the song. Execution, I don't think execution was that good, in my opinion. But maybe as, you know, maybe some more singles come out, maybe as we get the full look at this album, there'll be some songs that I do like. This one is just good, but it's nothing amazing. So, I'm going to give this track a 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10, guys. What y'all think about it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? I don't know. Let me know. Guys, if you're on YouTube, Spotify, Pandora, wherever you get your podcast at, make sure you follow, turn on notifications, guys. We're dropping new content every single day. And hey, you know, you want to hear me talk longer, you know, go check out the sports content if you're an NFL fan. You know, we got a lot of stuff out there. You know, regular season starting up soon. Don't worry, I won't be talking about sports for, you know, the whole week, sadly. But yeah, I mean, Doja Cat, guys, I'll be real. I'm excited for this album. I'm excited to hear what she says. First single, you know, didn't really blow me away that much, because I've heard, you know, the 80s sound quite a bit. So, you know, I've heard it quite a bit. I've reviewed the 80s sound a lot, you know, on this podcast itself. So, my expectations are really high. So, hopefully, Doja Cat gets something that, you know, it's got something in the bag that really impresses me. So far, just an easy 6 out of 10. Hopefully, you know, we can get some 7s or 8s, you know, as the singles and the album comes out. I'll see y'all later. You have a good one. Bye.